In today's segment on Mind and Motive, we begin with new developments in the case of Jesse Wilson. The 10-year-old boy went missing back in 2016 and was found dead in the desert 2 years later. Now, his biological grandmother, Cynthia Lauderdale, is in shock and disbelief after the criminal charges against Wilson's adoptive mother, Crystal Wilson, were dismissed just 2 days ago. Prosecutors say there wasn't enough evidence to move forward in the criminal case against Wilson. The Buckeye Police Department still not giving up, saying this is a very complicated case. The bottom line is Crystal Wilson is the only person who knows what happened to Jesse. Joining me now is psychologist Dr. Katherine Kuhlman, who is board certified in police and public safety psychology. Katherine, you work with law enforcement really on a daily basis. How do police feel when something like this happens? They put so much work, time, and effort into an investigation like this, and then only to have the case really go nowhere, especially in this case where the victims are children.
Well, you're exactly right. I do a lot of training with law enforcement talking about things like stress and trauma. And one of the things that we talk about as one of the biggest stressors for the job is this case is exactly like this. Yeah. You put in hours and days, years of work to submit information to the county attorney's office to prosecute a case. Your blood, sweat, and tears are in this. And the word that officers often use with me when describing these types of situations is they feel defeated. Oh. And it's right, and a lot of people have kids, and so they really just struggle internally with, they want to do right by this kid.
Right, because the kids are so innocent, they're so vulnerable, and helpless, really.
Exactly.
And you know what? Speaking of helpless, what about in a situation like this, where you still have the surviving family members, like Wilson's grandmother, and the lack of justice that they see? Don't they feel like victims too?
Well, absolutely. This has been going on for years, right? And this poor grandma has been fighting alongside with law enforcement and really wanting, justice for her grandson. And there's a helpless feeling when you feel like you've done everything you can and you're not seeing any result. And so a lot of times what you'll see in cases like this is people can either go kind of one or two ways. One is that they find meaning and purpose. So we see this with like Mothers Against Drug Driving, where you try to, do something good. So, you raise awareness for an issue. But sometimes you'll see people try to find justice themselves. And sometimes that looks like a civil lawsuit. Sometimes it looks like really, hiring private investigators or something like that. So I hope whatever she does that she feels really good about it and that she feels like she's making, moving forward with this.
And a purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's move on to our next case now. A Glendale teacher is facing charges of voyeurism and sexual exploitation of a minor after police say his students found spy cameras in a classroom changing room at Independence High School. Now, police arrested 53-year-old Estevan Carrion 3 days ago after they say Carrion invited a group of students to work on a media project that happened during spring break. But while those students were changing in a separate room, one of them noticed a hidden camera device, removed it, and hid it from the teacher. Police say that student told the other students, and they found 2 more cameras. Carrion has been a teacher for more than 20 years. This is so shocking. It's also so disturbing, those details. I printed out the police report, and when you read it, they also found an SD card. The police report also said this. This was interesting to me. He used his power of authority as a teacher to search their pockets and their backpacks to try and locate the evidence of the crime he committed. How terrifying for these students to not only find this, but the fact that he physically searhed them.
Oh, it's disgusting to start with. And there's such a power differential between teachers and students that, those poor students are in a place where can they really say no?
Right.
And that's what's going through their head. And, it's abuse of power. And by the way, I'm not going to mess with this generation that really knows technology.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. And they're very, very savvy. That was another thing that caught my attention. And I thought, wow, these kids are so sharp because, they could have panicked when they found those hidden cameras, but they were sneaky. They hid it and they kept it a secret from the teacher. In fact, one of them said that he needed to leave because his mom was waiting for him, and he left the school with that camera. How savvy.
So savvy. I mean, I think sometimes we don't recognize how smart kids really are and how they can come together and really work through and think critically and solve this problem together. I mean, really kudos to them.
Yeah.
Because they absolutely did the right thing.
I would have been scared to death.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think I would have panicked. I wouldn't have not known what to do, and if you hit it, like, what if I got caught? I mean, there's so many factors that went into this.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think just too, like, knowing that your fellow students had to be so violated by this teacher, and like really feeling like you have to feel like you did a really good job by getting that camera out of the school and notifying authorities.
Right.